Stigmatization around mental health still exists. In the last several years, there's been an uptick in shared treatment experiences, specifically for those who were in treatment as an adolescent over the last 30 years. As a consultant working with young adults only, it's been unsettling to hear about the horrific experiences that some folks have described. As someone trained as a counselor, we were taught to do no harm. I lead with this for each client I work with. While recording this special parent series, over the last year, several parents have suggested I interview their young adults. The special parent series is noted as being just that. It's about the parent perspective only. I'm now branching out to launch the former participant series, extending the opportunity for former participants who feel comfortable talking about their journey, doing so on this podcast. No topic is off limits, and not all stories are positive. This series is meant to be honest, transparent, and real for each individual's experience through the treatment continuum. Please note that this special former participant series is the adult's perspective of their treatment experience during adolescence or as a young adult. This is merely one perspective of a single story, and it's important to know that names have been changed for the protection of the interviewee unless they have requested not to do so. These episodes may include details surrounding suicide, self-harm, substance abuse, including overdose, hospitalizations, psychotic episodes, and other traumatic experiences which include parts of the treatment journey. That includes working with consultants, being escorted by a transport company, wilderness therapy, and a residential treatment program. All that is to say, listener discretion is advised. Welcome to an episode with a former participant in treatment.
It's time now for the Success is Subjective podcast. Here is your host and therapeutic consultant for young adults only, Joanna Lilley.
Hi, and welcome to the show. If you're new here, I'm glad to have you. This podcast was formed to collectively build a bank of stories from normal people sharing their non-linear paths. Unfortunately, social media paints a narrow picture of what success looks like, so I'm doing my best to spread the news that changing course is common, and you don't have to know what you want to do the rest of your life at 18. If you're a parent worried about your young adult and whether their path is leading them to success, you're in the right place. I'm a therapeutic consultant who works with young adults to connect them with resources that'll help them get back on a better path. So if you're curious, let's chat. You can schedule a free consultation through my website, which you can find the link for in the show notes. Today, my guest is Cassie. They share their experience being in different types of treatment as a young adult, leading to where they are today, which is currently getting a master's. For me, it was bittersweet to do this interview, mainly because I hadn't seen them in a couple years. Cassie will name it in the interview that they had connected with me after their experience in a wilderness program. Hearing them reflect back on their journey just reinforced within me the work I do in the importance of helping young adults get to the right community and care. So I'm honored to have been involved in a part of their story, but more importantly, I'm expressing extreme gratitude for them saying they'd want to be a guest on the podcast. Let's not wait any longer. Here's Cassie. All right. Cassie, I'm so excited to have you as a guest on the podcast. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. This is very fun.
Equal parts like nervous and like energy and just like excitement and all the things.
Totally. Yeah, I was once on another podcast where I talked about being a snow reporter with it was like a ski mom podcast, but feels a lot more personal. So
yeah, this is a little different. Yeah. We can talk about that part of your story if you want to.
No, it's okay.
All right. Well, you are showing up today and being specifically a part of the kind of little side series that I have going on with people that are sharing their vulnerable story, being participants in some sort of treatment experience. And so I think that goes right into your entry into this is a little bit more personal. This is a little different than the last podcast interview that you did. So I'm just going to ask some questions and I'll try to make it as organic as possible. But sometimes when I am like asking these really pointed questions, it feels in the moment. Obviously we experience things differently. And so sometimes it can feel a little bit more Q&A-ish. I'll do my best for it not to be like that, but I'm just going to let's just go right out of the gate. Like, where did you actually grow up?
Yeah.
And then let's talk about kind of the evolution of, and at what point did we start to have to experience some sort of support? Like what happened? What was going on?
Yeah. So I grew up outside of Boston, in Lincoln, Massachusetts. And my dad was in Concord. So we were in like the Boston suburbs, and yeah, had a pretty normal things, things appeared pretty normal for a long time. And I think when I first needed support, actually, I think I had my first like mental health experience in 7th grade, which was like before I could understand that that's what was going on. I like went to therapy and was able to continue on. But then when I was a sophomore in high school, right before I was going to a prep school. So I was a boarding school kid, and that was its own like really wonderful experience. But yeah, the summer before going into sophomore year, I like had a manic episode without knowing what that was, but then appeared normal and was able to go back to school. But then like quickly like went through another episode and was basically asked to leave because they were like, she needs help and she can't get that here. So I was kind of sent home from boarding school when I was 15, and obviously like you just want to be with your friends. So that was a very confusing time. And at that time, my mom kind of took over care for me and just like was managing meds from like outpatient meetings. So I didn't actually end up going inpatient anywhere until I was in my 20s.
Okay. And just so like you said, even the summer before your sophomore year, you had your first manic episode without even really naming it. Like, I didn't really even know what this was. Like, what's going on? Was there any, maybe the question is more like, how did that impact your family, right? Because was this something that they were aware of that could happen? Like, is there family history at all in that space? Yeah. How did it impact them?
So I think my dad's sister had schizophrenia. She didn't pass away she passed away from health issues, or physical health issues. But she lived in Canada. So I think there was just a lot more support for her there. And she was able to just kind of like be an artist and live the life that fit her. But it was interesting. I was actually with my dad. We went on vacation in California, and I think just kind of that triggered things. And yeah, the whole vacation I was just completely off. And I don't really know like what that experience was like for him. I can only assume that it was very stressful, and I don't know if he was communicating with my mom. It's hard because you're like, I'm looking back at someone that's like so young and so like not present. So yeah, I don't know what my family was thinking or what communication was there, because when I went home, I think I was just kind of like tired and confused, but just wanted to be back with my friends. So I think that was kind of a strength of mine, was that I would just kind of like forge ahead and continue to do the normal things until that like became an inaccessible coping strategy.
Yeah. And then you said, after your school then kind of parted ways with you and your mom is taking over your care with meds and whatnot. I mean, you kind of alluded to like, and several years later, it got to the point where there was inpatient experiences. So why don't we actually kind of talk about just that, kind of like the emerging adult? What did you end up doing after high school, and kind of like, how did it end up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did this evolve?
Yeah, I will say, like, fortunately, I was able to return to high school. The agreement was I took my meds, I could go to school. I was on these crazy meds that I was asleep the whole time. But luckily, I transitioned meds that summer and felt normal again and continued those and was able to graduate high school successfully and flourish and whatnot. But yeah, so I went to college and got through college, just like some lows, but it was okay. I think the structure was really helpful for me. But then upon leaving college, I think it's a really hard time for everyone, because you think you know everything when you're in school and you're finishing school, but then you're like only 22 and now I'm 30 and I'm looking back at 22-year-olds and I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't know anything. You don't know who you are. Like, that must be so uncomfortable. I'm so sorry you're dealing with that. So yeah, I kind of took a job that seemed like it was great. It was going to be a great fit, but I just didn't have like the support that I needed, and I wasn't set up for success. And I don't think I was really ready for a 9-to-5. So things kind of fell apart. And I think part of my experience being diagnosed at 15 and being forced into like medication, that was really hard on me and my body. Like back then when I was having a hard time with mental health, I didn't trust doctors to be like, please help me change something. Like, this isn't my fault. This is medication's fault, or like something's missing. Whereas that was something I had to like learn to like regain that trust, which honestly didn't happen until like recently.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I was even just thinking like as you're talking like that, and that continues to be like the biggest like point of contention, honestly, for a lot of young adults that I end up connecting with that are struggling with any type of mental health issue, is this, we look to these medically trained professionals to be the experts and know what to do. And the pharmacological industry is sales. I'm not going to make this like a complete soapbox, so I want to get back to your story. But I think that what I'm hearing too in all of this is that you can lose trust easily, because there's also a wide range of like how people are showing up and how it is in terms of their like connection with somebody that is in a mental health crisis, how they end up working with them to get better. And some of that is med compliance or whatever it is, like however they describe. But sometimes the biggest piece in all of this is like, you have to find the right meds and or the combination of like the right therapy with meds, the right support with like whatever the case may be. And so
So I guess I got on a tangent with your question way back when, like what happened after college. I think I made it till like October or till April. And my anxiety was just crazy, kind of overlapping into like what I call like a manic panic zone, where I was seeing on Zoom the same therapist from when I was 15. And I think he was helping me with like depression, but we hadn't talked about any medication changes. And I told him that I was feeling really anxious and I wanted to check in. And like over text, he told me that I was hypomanic, and there was an 100% chance that that's what it was. And that like everyone doesn't know they're hypomanic and they won't admit it. And it was just like the absolute not like most horrible thing you could have said to me, because then like not only am I in crisis, like in a panic on my way to being manic, I'm like in an absolute like text brawl with my only provider. So that didn't end well. I was in the hospital in Denver for a week, and it was definitely one of those times where like your friends have to like trick you into taking you to the hospital. And then my mom was there, and like there's definitely a lot of themes of my story where I feel like I'm in trouble, and then it's tied with a lot of shame, because you're like, I was just like making choices that made sense at the time. And so then I think other people or people in the field understand that like once your brain is like has become very dysregulated and goes into a full episode, it's just like harder to get it back into a stable place that's easy to maintain. So because of, that first episode that I had when I guess was like 23 or 22, it just took me probably 2 years until I was like able to be like stable again. Maybe 2 or 3 years. So I always say like, oh, I feel so youthful, because I feel like I like missed a few years and I'm like still coming into myself. Maybe that's a normal thing, but
well, and I think what you're getting at too is like your journey in order to be ready for the stressors of a 9-to-5 job after having these manic episodes. And no treatment experience is perfect either. So I want to be clear too that it's like, if you end up being hospitalized or you end up in a treatment program, like sometimes we end up taking a windier path to get to the right people, the right resources. And at some point kind of that plays out how it plays out. But what I'm getting at is, for somebody during that treatment experience, if the end goal is to be able to handle the stresses of like that 9-to-5 job or pursue a path where you are able to manage and we're not experiencing any derailment again, I do think that like hospitalizations feel like a quick fix, or I wouldn't even call it a quick fix. It's just like a holding place. And then from there, treatment needs to be longer term, especially for somebody that has had more than one manic episode. Okay. So can I just ask you a pointed question?
Yeah.
Is there any, I think, I just appreciate you again for showing up and sharing part of your story. Just like candidly, I know that there's a lot of young adults out there who talk about like having traumatic treatment experiences. And so if there's like knowing that you were hospitalized, and you just even kind of alluded to it, like I was kind of tricked into being hospitalized by my friends. I'm just kind of curious if there's any part of your story that you feel like, yeah, there was something, or there were some people, or whatever, that felt like it did more harm than good on your healing journey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm confident that like the 2 times I've been manic and hospitalized, like, psych hospitals aren't great, but like I needed to be like taken out of all of I feel like when I'm manic, I just feel like I always have to be like out doing things, and like that can quickly become like unsafe in many different ways. So like I know that that's where I need to be. They are really hard places to spend time. I can't imagine how hard it would be if you're like had an SI and you're there. Like I was manic and I was still kind of having a good time being manic, like thinking some things that aren't real that are kind of fun, and being very social with other patients. And like, I don't know how to explain it, but I think honestly, like when I knew that I needed treatment beyond, and I didn't want to go back to a hospital because like you said, it's really just a holding cell. It's just like taking you out of an unsafe situation temporarily. Yeah, I didn't know about any other programs. Like obviously we'll talk more about where I ended up, but I had heard a few stories of folks being in wilderness therapy in their youth. And so I was like, okay, that's my only option. That's not the hospital. So I was like, I guess I need wilderness therapy because it's my only option. It's worked for 2 people I've heard about, like in their teens. So I actually advocated for that for myself. And I mean, I can't say I fully regret it because it all worked out in the end and I got where I needed to be. But I don't think I've ever felt like more ashamed of myself than what they put you through in wilderness. It's just like the power dynamics are like pretty messed up, especially like I would not send anyone to wilderness that's like over 18, honestly. Yeah, the power dynamics are really messed up. And I mean, the place I went is no longer even in business. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. You have to like wear this one outfit and they just like make you take out like all your piercings, and like you basically have no autonomy or like trust from anyone. And I think I did learn some like important CBT skills there, but it was like really destabilizing to leave. And I feel like really strongly that I was failed by the program I went to in terms of medication. They like didn't test to see that my medications were like at a therapeutic level. And so I left and was like trying my best, but like they left me with basically on no meds, which is like not an option for me. So like, we worked together. That's where we met, was when I was at Wilderness. You helped me like figure out the next step. And no matter where they sent me, like, unless a doctor took me right away and was like, let's make sure your meds are working, like things weren't going to work out no matter what. So I still have like resentment that like no one was like, let's just make sure that we're actually helping her. Because like I believe so strongly that like bipolar disorder is such an organic disorder, and that like I really think that it's, if you can manage it. It's like we're the best people, and we're just like, I've never met someone that had bipolar that wasn't like the best person. Okay, that sounds like really self-obsessed, but like, I don't know, but like I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's not like a death sentence, like especially, I don't know. I can't shut up about it. I just like viewing it as like a brain thing, to where like knowing that when you do get really manic, yeah, you have to get depressed. You like have to just ride it out, because like your brain is just shot, I think, and not seeing that as a forever thing, but seeing it as like an important thing that just needs to happen. And it might happen for like a full year. You just have to wait it out. Yeah. Like, I just wish I could like tell that to people that are kind of in that really bad time. I'm really rambling. I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, I'm just sitting here like, I just so appreciate you. I do think that there is not a single person that I know with a bipolar disorder that I don't think is super rad, especially on the like, I mean, even when they're in full-blown mania, like if they are happy in their mania, like they are still, there's just so much life, right? And even with the depressive swings, this human is just like really cool. And I just so appreciate that you named, just because you are bipolar, it's not a death sentence. I appreciate you reinforcing that, because I do think that there continues to be, and I don't know why, even in 2025, we still have such stigmatization around mental health, and people thrive all the time. There is resiliency, and sometimes we just need support in different ways, whatever that looks like. And so, yeah, I just appreciate you saying that. All right, I've got 2 questions, and I want to be conscientious of your time, because one of the things I want to kind of end with is like, what are you doing now? Because I do think that like some of your story is also a part of your journey, is a part of your story to where you are now. So aside from the wilderness experience, is there any other part of your treatment journey that you just want to name in terms of treatment experience that kind of helped you to where you are today?
For sure. Yeah, fortunately, I made it back into treatment after, a bigger manic episode than the first one. And I was in a program in Colorado that at least got me like back to earth, although I like got really depressed and there wasn't enough support and like engagement to help me. So then you helped me find Spring Lake Ranch in Vermont. And, I very begrudgingly went. Like, I was like, really like, my life is over. I used to be this person. I'm not this person. I'm never going to be that person again. I'm just going because like, because of like my family. I was like, unfortunately, like I can't kill myself, which is like so annoying. So yeah, I went, and it's like a work program. So you basically are working like part-time, just like managing a farm in Vermont. And ended up like turning my entire life around and like giving me something to do. And I'm very blessed that I was there during COVID, like planning on a leaving plan because things were going better. But then COVID hit, and I was like, okay, it's very clear that like it's not a good time for me to like rejoin the world. So I got to stay like a little bit longer than I wanted to. But then I was like really had found a really good stride because of that extra time there. And then I started volunteering at a farm off the property. And then I just started working in like the restaurant industry and got my own spot and started just being a regular person living in Vermont. It was like such a good environment for me to kind of like restart. Yeah. And I still go back to the ranch. Like a lot of the people that work there still work there, and they're my friends. And I go there just to say hi and hang out and spend time, which is maybe like abnormal, but it's kind of just like integrated as like one of a good place.
Yeah, I think that's not abnormal. And I think that connection is so important to continue to foster. All right. So with the like phase out and the ongoing connection with Spring Lake Ranch and the folks that are there, I'm just curious, kind of like quickly just what are you doing? Tell us like, hey, what are you doing? But I want to ask the question, having heard your treatment journey leading to where you are today, I have to ask this question because I think it's so tremendously important to hear. Like, do you see yourself as successful? And the reason why I asked that question, and obviously the title of this podcast is called Success is Subjective, kind of going back to your comment about like, hey, if you have this diagnosis, it's depending on the person, they might internalize that as a death sentence. I think it's so important for people to hear somebody that's been through a treatment journey, you're on the other end. How do you define your success right now?
Yeah. So I'm at Smith School for Social Work getting my master's. I'm like halfway through. Yeah, my goal is to be a therapist, but I also, might branch out into other ways to use social work degree. And yeah, hell yeah, I feel amazing. Like I'm like absolutely thriving, doing my best in school. It's hard not to feel everyone is so smart and cool here. There's always like a comparison game, but I definitely feel successful. And I just spent 9 months in the Seattle area, starting new somewhere. And it just like feels amazing, like being able to just find community and work towards this goal. Yeah, I feel like I'm just in a really, really great place right now. Having space to like explore the full breadth of my identity. And yeah, and I've been ski touring a lot and I'm really into line dancing now.
That's awesome. I was not expecting that. That's a plot twist.
Yeah, I had to branch out.
Oh, yeah, that is so fun.
Yeah, I think I do feel successful. Like I have a lot of work to do and a lot to learn, but I'm on the right path for sure.
All right, last question. If you could give advice, and I'll actually let you decide whether or not you want to direct this towards a young adult. So like a 22-year-old Cassie, right, that is needing some advice right now, or the parent of a 22-year-old Cassie right now. Like, what advice would you give?
I think to the kid, parenting is terrifying. I just say it's going to be a really hard few years, but you just got to ride it out and go through the motions and it'll get better, but it's probably going to suck for a while. But just like keep at it is my advice.
I just want to hold this tender moment and the advice, because it's just so genuine and real and needed. And it's also so much harder to hear in the moment. Like, oh my gosh, you think I need to ride this out? What does that mean? Because we're so driven by time.
I did hear someone talking about SI say you just have to get through the next few minutes. You don't have to get through your whole life. And I do think being a young adult is what really hit me was how am I going to do my whole life? This is impossible. So maybe just thinking of it as one day, I just have to get through this one day. And then eventually you're I want to do life. I have so many goals and dreams, but it's not an easy switch to flip.
It's not. Cassie, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and give some advice.
I thought you were in Central Time. I was we have 90 minutes. Let's go.
We're good.
We're actually done. So sad.
No, it's okay. I appreciate you. Thank you for this. And I'm going to let you sit on this, hearing that, because sometimes I'll get people that will contact me 2 hours later and they're can we redo that? Because I just want to do it differently. Hopefully you're not going to do that. But if hearing you say you thought we had longer, if there's anything that you feel we needed to add, just let me know and we can kind of circle back.
Okay, great.
That's it for this week's Success is Subjective episode. We want to thank our guests for joining Joanna on the show this week and for being willing to share your journey. This podcast would not exist if it weren't for people such as yourself. Stay tuned for our next episode, where you can bet it'll be another amazing human sharing their personal story with the world. Make sure you check out the show notes, where you will find contact information, website details, and all social media for our guest. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, you can email Joanna at lilleyconsulting.com. Be sure to check out the lilleyconsulting.com website for additional resources outside of podcasting. Now, if you're listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. And while you're at it, feel free to leave a review. You can also download to listen to the Success is Subjective podcast on other popular podcast apps, such as Audible, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Thanks again for listening in, and remember, there is no single path through life. Success is what you make it.